बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम अल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि रब्बिल आलमीन वस्सलातु वस्सलामु अला रसूलिहिल करीम व अला आलिहि व सहबिहि अजमाइन अम्मा बाद फ़इन्नल्लाह सुब्हानहु व तआला यक़ूल फ़ी किताबिहिल अज़ीज़ वल फ़ुरक़ानिल हमीद फ़अऊज़ु बिल्लाहिस समीइल अलीम मिनश शैतानिर रजीम या अय्युहल्लज़ीना आमनू कुलू मिम्मा रज़क़कुमुल्लाहु हलालन तय्यिबा वला तत्तबिउ खुतुवातिश शैतान इन्नहु लकुम अदुव्वुम मुबीन। सदक़ल्लाहुल अज़ीम। इन्नल्लाह व मलाइकतहु युसल्लूना अलन नबी या अय्युहल्लज़ीना आमनू सल्लु अलैहि व सल्लिमू तस्लीमा। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि व सल्लिम बारिक अला सय्यिदिना मुहम्मद व अला आलिहि व अस्हाबिहि व अज़वाजिहि व ज़ुर्रिय्यातिहि व अहलि बैतिहि व खुलफ़ाइहि व मन तबिअहुम बिइहसानिन इला यौमिद्दीन रिज़वानुल्लाहि तआला अलैहिम अजमाइन। नाज़रीन इकराम, ब्रदर्स एंड सिस्टर्स, कासिम रशीद अहमद विद यू इंशाअल्लाह। आज का जो हमारा ये प्रोग्राम है ये एक इंफॉर्मेटिव और डिस्कशन है जो हमारे साथ इस वक्त लेटेस्ट इश्यूज़ आ रहे हैं यूके में हलाल फूड के हवाले से, उसको समझने के लिए और उसके ऊपर हमारी क्या ज़िम्मेदारी बनती है, क्या क्या हम कर सकते हैं उसको एक्सप्लोर करने के लिए। तो इंशाअल्लाह इन टुनाइट्स प्रोग्राम वी विल बी डिस्कसिंग द चैलेंजेस वी आर फेसिंग टू डू विद हलाल फूड, especially in that slaughtering issue where basically currently non-instant slaughtering alhamdulillah taking place in UK. So that makes it perfectly halal for us. And if there are basically challenges where you have to stunt the animal before slaughtering, then how it affects on the authenticity of the meat and so on, that we will be discussing today, and inshallah we'll find out further what can we do to preserve our you can say requirements and so on. The ayah I have recited in front of you, in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions, Kulu mimma razaqakumullah. O you who believe, eat that which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have provided you, halalan tayyiba, which is halal and pure, clean. Wala tattabi'u khutuwati shaitan, and do not follow the footsteps of shaitan. Innahu lakum aduwwum mubin. Indeed, he, meaning shaitan, is your biggest enemy, is your open enemy. Subhanallah, if you look at it, is fitting quite nicely with today's challenges, that you must eat halal, you must eat that which is clean, pure and so on. And if you don't do that, then you are following footsteps of shaitan. So literally those who become hurdle in this halal industry and so on, they are basically responding to the call of shaitan, and they are the biggest enemies or one of the biggest enemies of us. So inshallah we'll discuss this in quite detail. This program will continue until 10 o'clock or after. With me I have excellent panel here, and more guests will be joining at later stage. First of all, Dr. Shuja, the General Secretary of Muslim Council of Britain, MCB. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. How are you?
Alhamdulillah.
Pleasure to have you.
Thank you for having me.
And inshallah we'll have fruitful discussion tonight.
Inshallah, inshallah.
जो इनके बाद हैं मेरे साथ जो शख्सियत हैं, उनको इस वक्त होना चाहिए था इक़रा बंगला पर जो है, तो उनके घर वाले सोच रहे होंगे कि वो इक़रा बंगला पर नज़र नहीं आ रहे हैं तो कहाँ चले गए, कहीं इक़रा को बता कर के कहीं और तो नहीं चले गए। तो इक़रा बंगला पर तो नहीं, इक़रा उर्दू पर हैं, लेकिन ये क्या ब्यूटी है कि ये प्रोग्राम दोनों चैनल पे जा रहा है इस वक्त। तो शेख अब्दुल क़य्यूम, इमाम ऑफ माशाल्लाह ईस्ट लंदन मॉस्क। अस्सलामु अलैकुम व रहमतुल्लाह।
Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.
How are you, Sheikh?
Thank you very much. Alhamdulillah, bi khair wa afiyah. Jazakallah khair.
Pleasure to have you here. You've been on IQRA TV many times. MashaAllah. IQRA Bangla, of course, but before that on IQRA Urdu you used to come. But in this studio you are here first time, alhamdulillah.
That's true. Alhamdulillah. Jazakallah for inviting me.
Jazakumullah. And then we have, mashallah, other members of the community with us who have done quite a lot, mashallah, in terms of lobbying, in terms of their input in policy making and securing the halal slaughtering way for us. Within them, mashallah, first one is Muhammad Salim Sahab. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
How are you, Brother Salim?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Thank you very much for allowing me.
Inshallah. And then next one is, mashallah, is someone who is representing Muslims and Jewish community, who is member of the forum which represent Muslims and Jewish, Brother Muhammad Amin Sahab. Assalamu alaikum. How are you, Brother Amin?
Very well, thank you. My first visit to IQRA TV, although I attended your great launch a few years ago.
All right. You were at the launch
yes, with Lord Sheikh.
In 2009.
Yes.
MashaAllah. Welcome to IQRA TV. During that launch, I mentioned one thing, that those who are attending this launch, at that time, it was in Walthamstow, I said that all of you will be proud of IQRA TV in 5 years' time. And alhamdulillah, here we are. I'll start with yourself. Why there is need to involve Jewish community in this issue?
Well, first of all, slaughter under religious principles isn't just an issue for Muslims. It's equally important as an issue for Jews, because an animal cannot be kosher slaughtered if it is stunned. Stunning completely violates the rules of kosher slaughter, shikita they call it. And therefore, it's important, I think, for Muslims to work with our natural allies. We are the only two religious groups in this country that care about religious slaughter, so it would be silly to try to lobby independently rather than together.
MashaAllah. And have you had discussion with your colleagues in your forum from Jewish community side? What are their thoughts on this?
Yes, in July of last year, or June or July of last year, we put out a statement on our website, the Muslim Jewish Forum of Greater Manchester, about how religious slaughter is not cruel, it is humane. And then last week, I was alerted to this petition from the British Veterinary Association, which is going to be debated in Parliament next week by one of my Jewish colleagues. And he said that we need a counter petition of our own. And we agreed that he would draft it for me and that I would upload it because I was more available. That's why the petition, which is on the government website, is in my name, because petitions on the government website can't be in the name of an organization and they can't be in multiple names. One person has to be the person who says, this is my petition. And that's why it's in the name of Muhammad Amin. We launched it at 8 o'clock on Friday morning of last week. When I checked at about 7:15 p.m. this evening, we had over 53,000 signatures.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah. I'll also check the latest figure in a minute, inshallah. So you are the founder of that petition?
I started the petition and I was the first person to sign it, because until I publicized it, nobody knew it existed.
So you are the real troublemaker here tonight. MashaAllah. So everyone who's been talking about this petition around the world, especially on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook, and especially on WhatsApp. What I'm surprised with is that there is so much circulation going on of this topic, but very few of them are signing into it. So here you have Muhammad Amin Sahab here, who is the creator of that page, and inshallah he will be explaining further why he created this page and the need of it. I'll come to Muhammad Salim Sahab. What's the difference between the halal food which we eat now, halal meat, and what is being proposed? What's the problem?
The difference is that what has been proposed, we believe as Muslims, that it contravenes with animal welfare. We believe that by stunning the animal, you're actually being cruel or torturing the animal. The difference is, they talk about animal welfare. We believe that this petition that's been put forward by the British Veterinary Association has nothing whatsoever to do with animal welfare. at all. All it is doing is discriminating against two of the minority communities on the pretext of animal welfare. If they really are concerned about animal welfare, then they should be looking at serious matters which are affecting cruelty to animals. For example, although pig is haram, but doesn't mean that we have to be cruel to it. One of the worst cruelties being admitted at this moment in time is in the pig industry, where if you take, I'll keep it short, if you take the pig from the farm to slaughter, that's the most cruelest torture that you can do to them, because they're constantly fighting amongst themselves. Not only that, there's many other issues, but what's important for us is that we are too often taken into a debate, halal, haram, stunning, non-stun. The fact of the matter is that we should do exactly what our cousins are saying, that if it has got nothing to do with animal welfare and they have no conclusive evidence to state that one method is better than the other, then they should not be interfering with our basic human rights as Muslims and Jews. So therefore, they're interfering with our basic religious rights. And we are saying that we need to actually make sure for this country or any European country to be fair and just to everybody, it needs to be discrimination free, so we can all live in harmony. We are fond of animal welfare. Matter of fact, as you know yourself, animal welfare in some cases is far greater than human welfare within the Islamic faith, but we don't touch on that. So my role is basically to create a better understanding, working alongside with Dr. Suja Shafi in lobbying and working at governmental level to make sure that this policy is understood by policymakers. We are too often laid back. We don't contact our MPs or members of parliament. We assume that our members of parliament are magicians and they can read our minds, therefore they should be actually defending us. In this country, we have to make that first effort. I must admit, I was the second person to sign the petition here, so the two of us are working on the same route here. So the reason I'm here is important for us to utilize the power that we have, and that power is for us to lobby our MPs to stand up and defend the basic rights for both of the minority communities. And if we play our cards right, we are in the majority as far as the voting is concerned, and we will win our case throughout. It's important for us to keep the status quo within the legislation, which at this moment in time exempts both Jews and Muslims from stunning their animals. And for your information, you'll be happy to know that the UK is probably the only country that actually slaughters their animal or allows us to slaughter without stunning their animal. So it is legal for us to perform that, and many of our friends are actually doing that.
Can I just add something to that, to build on what you said? When Hitler came to power in Nazi Germany, only 3 months after the Nazis came to power, they banned kosher slaughter in Nazi Germany as an anti-Semitic attack, the beginning of their discrimination against Jews. Whenever people want to discriminate against minorities, they attack the way that they practice their religion.
I mean, I remember there was one discussion in which we were invited in American embassy in London, and that was my first visit to the embassy. It was basically with Professor Akbar Khan. I think you were there. Yes. And in that, Professor Akbar Khan said that America is the best place for Muslims to live and practice their religion. Obviously, he comes from America and so on. He have written book about Muslims in America or Islam in America and so on, and have extensive knowledge of British history as well as American and European histories and so on. And mashallah, it was a fantastic program. And when he said that America is the best country for Muslims, and I stood up, I said, I couldn't resist. I said, no, Britain is the best country for Muslims to practice their religion, much better than America, and certainly much better than many of the Middle Eastern or Islamic countries. I said, for example, I've been Imam in Quran Mosque and Islamic Center before starting Al Khair For 8 years I was Imam there. Sheikh Abdul Qayyum, mashallah, he's Imam in East London Mosque since I was born, almost. And because since childhood we've been seeing him as young as ever, mashallah. And government have never approached us that in your Friday sermon say this or say that, or why did you say this, or don't say this or that. There may be generic guidelines in the media, but not directly instructing imams what to say and so on. But most important aspect I brought in that discussion is that Muslims in America have compromised on halal meat, and they have accepted to eat zabiha, that if it is slaughtered by Christians or Jews, but especially Christians, in their own way, including stunning, they have accepted it. In Britain, Muslims did not accept that, and here we are, mashallah. So, I'll come to Dr. Shuya. The matter is about to go into government domain. Do you think there is political agenda behind this, or there is discrimination agenda, or is just pop out of the blue?
I think as far as the government is concerned, they have consistently said that removing of stunning, banning of stunning is not on their agenda. But governments can be lobbied by individuals, by organizations, by interested parties, and there's a lot of lobbying from that aspect. Just going back to what you're saying about this is the best place, I would agree with that wholeheartedly. And just as an example about the situation that we are talking about, when the law about stunning came into existence in this country, it was like, animals, when they are killed for food, they must be stunned. But they allowed an exception. The exception is for Muslims and Jews. So actually the law has provided us, this is an excellent example where the law has provided us with a facility for us to practice our religion. So it's not just tolerant, but actually actively supports and helps us to perform our religious duties.
This point will be new information for many of the viewers, that the legal situation is that stunning must be done, and there is exception for Muslims and Jews in the law.
Exactly. And that, I think, is a biggest facility that is being provided to us. And if we are going to now talk about the threat of that, it is really very sad, and we have to make sure that we retain that, because it is the religious right that has been provided to us by the government of the day, which we will have to maintain. The reason why it is happening is because there is a belief that there is animal welfare involved. Animals suffer as a result of not being stunned. And that is not really true, we believe very vehemently, because if there is a law or if there's a requirement for us by the Islamic method or by the religious method to having prescribed a method of slaughter, and a religion which has so much importance with regard to animal welfare, they are two contradictory things. You cannot have a prescribed method, a religiously prescribed method of slaughter where the animal is, where it's prescribed how the animal should be slaughtered, and has such an important part of its religion, the animal welfare, and they really can't be, it's really contradictory. So we do not believe that it is, nor has scientifically been proved. So that's the reason why we have to make sure that this is maintained. And there is more of emotional thing that is associated with it rather than the scientific thing. If we look at, you may be aware, or the listeners may be aware, of recent production of a video where somebody had gone, an animal welfare organization had gone into a slaughterhouse and done some covert filming. The results of that are very shocking, and what has been shown is completely unacceptable by any human standard, by any human means. And that religion doesn't come into it because this is criminality. The country here, in this country also, the laws of welfare for animals are very, very strict. And they are both compatible. And but what is sad about this, in the media, it was shown as something which is associated with halal. That is not the case, because all the things that were being shown were nothing to do with halal. And this same organization has been producing these covert films by going into other where non-halal slaughter takes place, and they have shown equally bad practices. So what we have to do here is to, first of all, fight for the animal rights ourselves, and the animal right is what is the best way of performing slaughter. And we believe if it is performed correctly, there is no other way, better way than the religious method of slaughter, whether it is by the Jewish method or the Islamic method. What we have to do also is a responsibility that the method that we use is appropriate. And there is some work we need to do about that. But we have no objection, no doubt whatsoever that the religious method of slaughter is the most humane method. In America, a religious method of slaughter is recognized as a humane method. And so they may not really practice it, but there is no objection from a legal point of view in terms of the religious method of slaughter.
It's recognized under the law,
Yes.
halal and kosher. Can I just add one thing to what Dr. Sujat Shafi has said? The law of the land in this country states that all animals must be stunned. Not many people are aware of this, that the method that we as Muslims and the Jewish community adheres actually meets that legal definition. The definition of stunning is stun to kill, and if done properly, like Dr. Sujat has said, our method actually do stun to kill if done properly. So we meet that. The second thing I'd just like to add on to is that you mentioned the abattoir up in North Bowwaters. They emphasized on halalness and halal. Matter of fact, that two things I like to bring to people's attention is that neither was it a halal abattoir, because they did both of the methods, halal and non-halal. The same slaughtermen did the procedures for non-halal and halal. The owners of that particular abattoir were not. They were from the wider community. So there's a lot of questions need to be asked with regards to that. Political agenda, because that incident took place in November, December last year. The timing of when it was released coincides with the timing of the petition that was put forward by the British Veterinary Association. And some in the industry, like myself, do actually believe that there may be a vendetta against both the kosher and the halal by DEFRA, or the Food Standard Agency. Reason being that if you look at the recent figures released by Food Standard Agency last month, which corresponds to 2013, they deliberately missed out the main thing that actually matters to animal welfare: stunning and misstunning and restunning. Those figures were deliberately omitted from this to show that how much of the non-stun are being slaughtered in the UK and how much of the stun are being slaughtered. So there are a number of issues that could be put down as political agenda or may not be political agenda. But the issue for us is to organize ourselves like Brother Amin has done. We've been working very closely with our friends with the Shikita board and other people across the globe on the animal welfare side of slaughter. And we believe, and we have sufficient evidence to state, that our method are the most humane. We're not saying that one method is better than the other, because when you talk about slaughter, no method of slaughter goes without pain. However, the most humane is the Islamic and the Jewish.
Can I supplement what Shuja Shafi was saying about the politics? Because I think this is quite important. It is the policy of all three of the main political parties, Conservative, Labour and Liberal Democrat, to preserve the religious exemption.
Yeah.
David Cameron in particular has been completely emphatic. Early last year, when he was visiting Israel, he said before the Knesset that as long as he's Prime Minister, kosher slaughter is safe in Britain. And then when he was at the Muslim News Awards in March, and I was there in the audience, he said from the platform during his speech, halal slaughter is safe in Britain while I'm Prime Minister. So we have the Prime Minister on our side. However, as Shuja Shafi said, there is continuous lobbying from the other side to take away this religious exemption, and that kind of lobbying can wear people down, and it's really important for Muslims and Jews and other people, Christians, atheists who care about religious freedom in this country, to make their voices heard loud and clear, saying this exemption matters. It matters even if you're a Christian and you don't care about halal or kosher meat, because we do not want a society where Jews and Muslims in Britain cannot practice their religion properly.
Mm. And that's the reason I was asking that is there any political agenda, because I assess the timing of that news, that documentary being released, certain discussions under, you can say that, or along with that, and launch of this petition. So to me, it seems there is connection or there is link. It's too good to be coincidence. Anyway, I'll come to our great scholar, Sheikh Abdul Qayyum Sahab. Sheikh, what is the definition of halal according to Quran, and where does stunning fits in that? Is stunning addressed in Quran or not?
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala. First of all, thank you very much, Imam Qasim, of hosting this important event tonight, and especially creating awareness among the Muslim and I believe the Jewish community together, facing a serious challenge at this moment, which is not only their food, it is their very religious right is about to be taken away from them. The issue of halal is in Islam is very important. Like we do worship Allah in our ritual worshipping activities, the same way our food, everything we take in our life must be halal as well. Particularly about the dhabiha, about the food, any cattle, the slaughtering process is through dhabiha is called halal, that it must be slaughtered by a Muslim or people of the book. And it should be slaughtered in a particular way, in a particular area, and the blood should come out naturally, flow of the blood should come out. And of course, we know that it should be the halal animal as well. And there is guidance as well, apart from these very shurut and condition, that the Prophet ﷺ, in a very well-known hadith, he said, when someone of you is slaughtering an animal, فَلْيُحِدْ شَفْرَتَهُ وَلْيُرِحْ ذَبِيحَتَهُ. One should use a very sharp blade or whatever is to slaughter. It should be very sharp. A gentleman was telling that it is a process of stunning, that giving less pain. And وَلْيُرِحْ ذَبِيحَتَهُ is very significant, that one should give as much as possible rest and less trouble, less torturing, less pain. Now, so these are the very Sharia guidance. If you stun, then the stunning is before the dhabiha, you are torturing before you do the dhabiha. This is to the ulama, if it is lesser, if it is not very big, then it is makruh. But once it goes to a very serious level, it could be considered haram. To do so, it is a kabira sin.
If there is risk of animal being paralyzed or death,
yes,
or any severe injury, internal bleeding and so on.
Bleeding as well. And even many of the research, Dr. Abdul Khatmi sometimes brings to us, that it is a big debate which one is more painful. Even he shown many of the research, scientific research, that even this stunning is causing more pain than the slaughtering itself, which is less element welfare than the slaughtering. And he found many of the research, not necessarily by Muslims, by non-Muslims even. Some very scientific, good research came about this. So this kind of torture before zabh is not accepted in Sharia. It is against the animal right. And as you know, generally Islam has given, as my colleagues are telling earlier, is a huge right to the very core of our deen, the animal right. Even we know the hadith, thus to do a favor to a dog, man entered Jannah. And to torture a cat, a lady ended up going to hellfire. So any live things, charity towards them, doing favor to them will lead to Jannah. So therefore, in all senses, we can see the animal welfare is very core Islamic principle. And Islamic halal zabh must consider all these. And if there is any kind of discrepancy, any kind of breaching happening to that, yes, the authorities and every other concerned people have right to make sure that all these are taken care of, rather than denying a very religious right of particular two communities, Muslims and Jews. That will be severe kind of discrimination. That's, I think, tonight's program will, I hope, make this awareness, wider awareness between Muslim community and the other community.
MashaAllah, Jazakumullah khair. Brother Salim, I would like to come to you. We have 3 minutes to go to break. Was the responsibility of our youth and our community out there at this stage, where basically we have this body who have successfully gathered over 100,000 signatures, and they're filing petition to Parliament House. They're submitting on this coming Monday. Today is Thursday. So in this short time, what can we do and how can we do it?
Well, what comes to my mind straight away is that we are complacent, whether we're youth or the elder generation. My first meeting with the Jewish community during my work working with the parliamentary groups was with Shikita UK. And one of the things that we commonly hear within our community is that as long as the Jews are there, our halal is safe. I wasn't surprised to hear the same thing from the Jewish community, say as long as the Muslims are there, our kosher is safe. And what brought us together was that if we sit and do nothing, obviously the other side is going to win. So it is our responsibility to educate, create awareness and a better understanding, not just to the wider community, but to also our community. We thank the organizations like HMC and other certification bodies who actually believe in the prophetic method of dhibha and promote that. But at the same time, we are too often relying on a sign or a logo that we see on the shop front and denying our rights of asking the question. We are legally protected under the British Law of Consumer Protection Act 1990, and I think also 1968, is that when you go to the shop, and where we fail is that we ask for halal. Under the law, we should be asking for the Islamic humane process of none done. Shopkeepers know exactly, and if they are selling you something which is not, this has a far greater implication on their business, which means that the trading standards will come and look after the interest of the consumers and close them down if they're not selling what you've asked for. For example, if you go to a shop and ask for a watch or a radio, I'm sure they're not going to sell you a TV station or a TV set or a mobile phone. So it is our right to actually inquire. We believe that we are what we eat, so it is our responsibility also to make sure that what we earn and what we consume is also halal. And so it is our responsibility to create awareness to our youth. We did one program on a particular channel which was just 2 years ago. Duration was not more than 10 minutes. And all we did was created awareness on the trading standards and protection for the consumers. And by doing that, we had approximately 6 major businesses raided. We didn't name any businesses. We educated the consumers when they go to the shop, This is their right, and this is what they should ask for. 6 businesses were raided, over 30 ton of non-halal chicken was taken out of the market just by the trading standards doing a full transparency and a simple check. We are protected under the Food Standard Agency's guidelines, which we have the stakeholders sitting here with us. Dr. Sujat Shafi will agree that in 2003, Food Standard Agency, with a cost of approximately maybe £5 million to the British taxpayers, which took 7 years in completion, and Dr. Sujat Shafi and colleagues were part of that consultation. And if we follow those guidelines, or if the local trading standards were to follow those, it says quite clearly in those guidelines, highlighted on the footnote, that halal is defined, it's recognized in English food law, and also on the following page, they include in those guidance notes the exemption for Muslims from pre-stunning. So according to the food standards own guidelines, halal by default is non-stun. And if it's produced in any other method, and we have law here, it cannot be classed as halal or kosher, because it clearly gives us the exemption under the English law for halal, how it should be produced. So it's a bit of awareness that we need to create, and I think we stand a fairly good chance now that we are working with the wider community also, who are supporting us in this cause of animal welfare, if this is what it's all about.
MashaAllah. And was the page, Amin Bhai, you created, was the link to it?
The website, it's on the government e-petitions website. I can give you the URL, but URLs are not very easy to remember or when you read them out. It's epetitions.direct.gov.uk/petitions/74830. But the easy way to find it is if you just Google e-petitions slaughter Muhammad Amin, you'll find it straight away to be the first hit on Google. If you Google e-petitions UK slaughter, just those words, you'll make sure you don't get the veterinary petition, because that sometimes comes up first and mine comes second. So it's quite easy to find with Google, or you can remember that URL, or you could put it on screen here.
Okay, inshallah.
Can I just say that
so I have to take a break here, inshallah, and we'll come back to it. After break, there might be addition or change in the panel here, but inshallah, we'll be back in literally less than 5 minutes. Until then, take care. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.